Okay, here we are once again. Odie Hawkins, excuse me. I just chewed an almond for health reasons, and I'm swallowing it with pomegranate juice.
Ah, very healthy. Yeah. Body getting used to pomegranate juice.
Has kind of a kick to it. What I wanted to start off with this evening is a continuation of this DuSable High School thing.
Yes.
And what I thought I would do is just grab a couple of pictures to to show you what I'm talking about. This is Dr. Margaret Burroughs. I'm going to come back to her.
Ah, very nice.
I'm going to come back to her again
Bouncing
and
her
again.
around, okay. Dr. Margaret Burroughs, gotcha.
I'm going to come back to her again and again. But I was going to show some little photos that have to do with Chicago at a certain period of time. And lo and behold, I just grabbed some photos, you know, at random.
Bring it over a little bit.
This is a photo of Uncle John.
Uncle John, got it. Okay.
Mr. John Henry Hawkins, who is better known in real life as Sweet Milk,
Gotcha.
because they say he liked sweet milk a lot. And lo and behold, for some reason, I looked up, I guess it's because a lot of artistically inclined people are absent-minded.
Okay, so take it a little bit over. Yeah, that's better. Oh, that looks like Einstein.
I thought it was Michael Shot. Oh,
He was an Einstein of sort, wasn't he? Uncle John.
I think they were like that.
I think they both were like that. I met your Uncle John. Unfortunately, I was not able to meet Einstein.
Yes.
Okay.
You know, all things being equal. In addition to that, it occurred to me that there might be some people around who would not be quite conversant with the era and the time and the people that I was talking about.
Oh.
So, due to your Zola Salinas' excellent research skills, she pulled out some photos of people from the time frame that I'm talking about. And as this looks like ancient history, it is.
Yeah, you can go online and
There's a lady washing clothes at the top here on the left side.
right. Okay.
There are people living in what they lived in where we lived.
Right.
Down on the right, lower side, lower right side. Not too pleasant, but it was what it was. These are buildings from that time. I'm going to switch them around.
All right.
This is the south side of Chicago,
Oops. Did that a little bit too fast.
and
Okay.
it was not fit for human beings to live in.
Right.
But we lived there.
Right.
And
Topsy-turvy, for sure. These are wonderful pictures one can find if one searches the internet
Oh, yeah. That's just this old...
1952 Chicago.
Yeah. These are dwellings and movie or theater. These are dwellings. People live there. I'm going to slowly rotate this to my left.
All right.
And go again to my left. There. And then one more time. I saw you doing it this morning in the Tai Chi class. It gave me some ideas.
Very good.
Just keep rotating to your left. Here we go. Comiskey Park. I used to actually, as a little boy, park people's cars who came to see the Cubs play.
Okay.
And I'm going to slowly rotate that also
All right.
to my left. And if sometimes it seems upside down, maybe it is.
Yes, it is.
But if you keep on looking, you'll see
It's right side up at
something
one
that's right side up.
time. Okay.
If you don't,
It's
then
because
shame on
the
you.
time was upside down and right side up.
That's right. Okay, let's take a couple more here. Oh my God, this is I think this couple down here were on their way to church.
Now, I don't recall the photographer that initially did these.
They don't mention the photographer.
Okay, yeah, that there's random pictures of Chicago on the internet,
Yeah,
and all you have to do is search Chicago 1952.
is that right?
Yeah, 52-60.
1952. And we ended with
DuSable.
this is the interior of DuSable High School. And, you know, coming from where I came from, this place was pristine because I was living here
Yeah.
when I wound up going to school here. So, I
Whole
mean,
different world.
Wow.
Yeah.
It
Whole
was
different
like
world.
going to some kind of, I don't know how to describe it. It was wonderful.
So for anybody who thinks photography is a waste of time, you can see it's one way of recapturing time.
As a writer, I think you recapture with words, but I prefer pictures.
Oh,
But
okay.
that's what I'm trying to do is
Okay.
use words to create pictures. And now before I begin the reading for this evening, is the dear old DuSable.
Dear old DuSable.
One thing I'd like to
Okay, this is a
point
picture.
out is that there were no air conditioning units
Oh, when you were
when
going.
we went there. that
Okay, well this
was late.
this picture was taken, I believe, in 2005 when you went there.
For your DuSable High School reunion.
Yes, for your high school reunion, and there's you walking up. I took this picture. You walking up to your old alma mater.
Okay, it looked just like an ordinary jailhouse facade on the outside, but they had a very nice interior.
It had a great
Interior,
courtyard. Yeah.
Garden. Let's get on with the reading. I want everyone to know, as I start doing this evening, this is taking a lot out of me. I can't explain what it's taking out of me.
You're visiting. Yes.
It is. Emotionally, it's taking a lot out of me. But I hope nobody really feels sorry for me.
All right. You got it, kid.
because along with the bitter, there's always some sweets. As a matter of fact, you wouldn't even know what was sweet unless there was some bitter.
I love.
So let me start doing this right now. Continue with the story. DuSable was an extraordinary place to be at that time.
Real.
1952. Just so we're...
Yes, that's the place.
Yeah, this is the place. I'm not going to have anybody mistake what I'm talking about.
That's your high school.
Because I'm getting ready to do some propagandizing that's going to be so blatant that someone is going to say, oh my God, man, why don't you just set up a PR? Yeah, that's what I am, all right? PR for DuSable. Don't like it? Go see
Scott.
Dr. Burroughs.
Dr. Burroughs.
DuSable was an extraordinary place to be at that time, 1952, 1955. Truth be told, I started realizing that fact somewhere in the middle of my sophomore year. It wasn't like a beam of light flashing in my head or anything that grand. It had to do with just looking around me. Off-brand, offhand, let me start this with Phillip Gent. Talk about people with some names. Yeah, Phillip Gent, King Johnson, Princess Smith, Lloyd Jones, Joker Williams, George Washington Lincoln Jefferson Garvey. That was really his name. Okay. Let's get back to Phillip Gent. Phillip Gent had decided he wanted to play football with the rest of us barbarians. So he came down to the locker room, requested some trial practice stuff, and it was on. No one knew what to do with this guy, including Coach Brown. Son, you sure you want to play football? Be a Panther? Yes, sir.
Yes.
It was an incredible situation. Even us 5'5" people had muscled up to at least 160 or so to be able to withstand the pounding we were guaranteed to take out there on the gravel-coated parking lot practice field. Phillip was about 5'5" and weighed about 120 pounds. His uniform draped off of him. It was like something, like watching a uniform was draped on top of a scarecrow. It was a conundrum thing, even for the sadistic types who dominated our Blue Division championship ranks. What position you want to play, Phillip? Defensive halfback. Defensive halfback? Yes, sir. I'm inserting Phillip Gent here because in many ways he was the apex of who we felt we were. We felt that we were the best in all of the sports. Football, basketball. We even had an excellent swimming team. Can no white boy outswim my black ass? They were popular at the time. Rugby and cricket were in the future. Now, let's get something clear here, Phillip Gent. You know that the defensive halfback is the one who usually stops a runner or a pass catcher, rattles his ass up, if you know what I mean. You willing to do that to take those shots? Yes, sir. To this very day, I cannot say I've ever witnessed the suicidal bravery that Phillip Gent showed us when he threw himself in front of a phalanx of pulling guards. Sometimes they just simply trample over his pitiful body trying to block their thunder. But then, now and then, he would hurdle his little frame in front of the charging, bucking, blocking beast, clearing the corridor for the grim-faced halfback determined to gain another 5 yards. He would prevent the gain from being made by forcing them to take the time, make the effort to boot his fine, thin frame out of the way. They fell over. He was
Not funny. It's not funny.
he was stopped him by sacrificing his body.
Poor baby. Oh,
I mean, people fell down.
special guy for sure.
And they call it a block.
Slaughter.
He didn't do it. He just...
Oh, that's beautiful.
We appealed to the coach to take the little guy off the scrimmage ground by designing plays that ran away from Phillip Gent. Boys say you want to play football. That's what he's doing. Coach Brown was old style. You say you want to do something? Go ahead and do it. Finally, after 2 months, 2 whole months of being tossed around like a little black anorexic rag doll, Phillip finally conceded to our demand that he quit. Hey, Phillip, look, man, you got the heart, okay? Can't nobody question that. But you don't have to wait. We thought you had been crushed yesterday when Big Jack fell on you. Big Jack weighed 320. He went away with tears in his eyes. Some of us cried too, but secret. Men were supposed to cry. Men were supposed to have that kind of emotional weakness back then. You're so brave, so brave. DuSable. We were at least DuSable. Got it?
Got it. DuSable.
I'm sorry, I don't have to wipe my face. I was just simply going through an emotional moment there.
Gotcha. Revisiting.
Yes. Because we had many Phillip Gents in
Amazing.
different ways when I think back to it. But, we were at least 3 or 4 deep in every area of the arts. Guys who sang complicated doo-wops at 8 a.m. on the front steps of DuSable. Baby, come on back to me. Well, I don't do the tenor part too well, but I don't do the doo-wop part too well, baby. But that's what we did. At 8 o'clock in the morning, they would be practicing.
Well, he had some special people come out of there. So
Any one of them could have been Nat King Cole. Mahalia Jackson, Sarah Vaughan, Leontine Price, and Ella Fitzgerald sang up and down the hallways on a regular basis. Wow. Afro-Cuban rhythms, plus urban classical music, plus something that could only be identified as soul, vibrated through the place. Smarty pants, male and female types, were held up as role models and saluted at assemblies. George Whitley was won the first prize at the science fair last week. Jacqueline Sykes is the editor of this year's edition of Panthers Today. Captain Walter Diet, with this ghostly aura around the iris of his left eye, opened each assembly with the Negro National Anthem. All he had to do was give it up upbeat with his baton, and we stood and sang this song. Maybe it was just something in me, but I always felt that lift every voice and sing was just as unmusical as the other national anthem. Sorry, y'all. I've been playing too many drums too long. I want to get some little conga that lift every voice and sing. Poo doo doo doo. Poo doo doo doo. Lift every voice and sing. Poo doo doo doo. You know, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And while we're there, the Negro teachers they were Negro. We were Negroes then.
Yes.
You have to remember who you are at times, you know?
In those moments in time.
In those moments. Hey, you're good, you're good. Who's your agent?
You and I, yours.
And while I'm there, the Negro teachers at DuSable, for the most part, were resistance fighters, militant underground guerrilla agents. It would take a couple of pages to list their names, but I can sum up who they were by shouting out one name in particular. Teacher, later Dr. Margaret D. Burroughs. Teacher Burroughs was an art instructor, but that didn't mean that she spent most of her time pushing color patterns, pointing at stuff on the blackboard. It seemed to me she spent a lot of time talking to us about who we were, who we had been once upon a time. Here's one of the things you should remember when you think about yourself, about who we are, how we got here, and all the rest of that. Don't fall for that jive story that they just enslaved our ancestors because they wanted slaves, zombies who just picked the cotton and cut the sugar cane. The Europeans who conquered the native people and enslaved our ancestors didn't have a blueprint for this America that they stole. Got that? We should be given more credit for doing all we could do under the circumstances to help turn this America back into the civilized place, to help turn this America back into the civilized place it was before the European barbarian savages used their superior firepower to conquer this land. Obviously, we didn't succeed, but we tried like hell, and we're still trying to civilize this place. Crazy how it happened, how I landed in Teacher Burroughs is by sheer accident. I was at the end of my sophomore year. You missed Art 101. Now, you have two choices. You can take 101 in your senior year, or you can do it now and get it over with. You know, you had to have a certain sequence of patterns. I don't know anything.
Right.
I'm coming out of the Alma Hotel. You know what I mean? What are you talking about? 101. I failed Pippin 101. That's the only, that was real. Art 101? What can that possibly be? Miss O'Leary, the counselor, always gave the straight of things. In parentheses here, big aside. A note about the Irish Catholic females who taught at DuSable. I don't know where they came from because they didn't live on the south side, the west side, and definitely not in the projects. I can only think of one substandard Irish teacher I encountered during the 4 years I spent at DuSable. One. Miss Cleary was a large bone. I'm calling her out. Miss Cleary was a large bone, full frame, milky skinned person who seemed to spend most of her time reading novels propped up inside of her desk drawer.
You got the picture, yes, yeah.
After she had assigned us some sort of nebulous busy work, she received a black mark against her name from yours truly from the first time she accused me of plagiarizing. Where did you copy this from? I didn't copy anything from anywhere. I wrote that myself. What was it? An essay about something or other. Easy stuff. After carefully scribbling 3 exotiques and 2 outrageouses in the library, the hour before coming into a class, I felt capable of writing anything. I told Teacher Burroughs about the D I had received. Don't pay any attention to her. She's too lazy to be a good teacher.
Wow.
Just one out of a number. Mrs. Gallagher, the civics teacher, was the exact opposite of Mrs. Cleary. I thought of her as a white Margaret Burroughs. You must be in your seats when the bell rings, or else I will mark you late.
Okay.
Well, just to be factual, Teacher Burroughs wasn't quite that strict, but she did run a tight ship, even though she was obviously pro-student. Just a bit more about the Irish teacher ladies. They, the majority, were pro-DuSable all the way. They couldn't talk to us the way Teacher Burroughs, Mr. Mosley, Mr. Newsom, the Langston Hughes lookalike, who was also gay. Didn't matter. I mean, gay. Well, anyway, Mrs. Turner and all the others could talk to us. They didn't try to be Negroes, to be down or anything. You see what I'm saying? They didn't try to get down.
No, they were real.
You know, that wasn't their thing.
They were real, though.
You know,
They
first
were
of all,
real.
they was Irish.
Yes.
And I don't know how you get down in Irish, but it's different.
Yes, but they were real.
But they was, you just put,
Yeah.
ding,
Thank you.
they was real.
There you go.
Put a little salt on that,
Appreciate it.
season that.
You got it.
But they were definitely Negro lovers.
Okay, that's good.
I'm sure that you young men and women know by now that there are obstacles that you will face, challenges you will have to meet, that some prejudiced people will put in your way. You must do everything in your power to overcome that peacefully.
Okay.
Coach Jim Brown had another approach. The white folks in this country do not like Negroes. They ain't never liked us. And they ain't gonna never like us. So get it out of your head that we're gonna wind up being buddies. We don't want to be as equal. We want to be better than he is because we are Panthers.
Panthers.
Panthers! Let me hear it. All right, everybody here, let's hear it. Panthers!
Panthers!
Panthers! All right,
Yes,
that's what I
yes,
say,
yes,
Panthers.
Yes, yes.
More on Teacher Burroughs. That's what he did.
I'm sure it is.
More on Teacher Burroughs. Like everybody at DuSable, I knew something about Mrs. Burroughs before I got to her classroom. She had this rep for being her own person, somebody who didn't take any stuff from anybody. I was definitely attracted to her militancy. We can't be subservient and win this battle. We're fighting to be equal. She was militant to the roots of her hair. A petition was circulated begging faculty members to sign to say that they believed that Teacher Burroughs was out of her mind, off of her rocker, crazy, in other words, because she wore her hair in a natural style. It would have been bizarre if it hadn't been absurd that a collection of Negro female teachers had organized the protest against this sister's hairstyle. I started paying more attention to Dr. Burroughs. This is Dr. Margaret Burroughs. Under her turban, you might see a little kinky hair there.
There we go. Very nice. Determined woman. Got it.
I'm going to get into how we got to know each other a little bit better over time. But there was a lot to pay attention to. She was quietly lobbying to have the city of Chicago change its name from Chicago to DuSable City. She was gradually squeezing the politicians, especially the black ones, to grant money to establish the DuSable Museum of African American History. Flashing straight ahead, that did happen. She did do that. She was always inviting a select number of us down to her house on Michigan Avenue to check the latest African masks and stuff she had brought back from the latest trip she and her husband Charles had made to Africa. She was a serious activist. I was having my head open. I'm going to leave this right here at this point because it's a good point to leave it at. There was so much happening in DuSable, at DuSable, that I often think that for many of us, we graduated from 8th grade, which is the way it was done in Chicago, to go to 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. Coming from, well, my scholastic background,
Yes.
I felt like I was going to college. And I shared, some people shared that with me. Like, man, this is you know, the teachers were strict and hard, but fair. The bar was high in every kind of way.
Well, I know Kathy Moffett and Scotto probably appreciate this bit.
Wait a minute, you just said magic name. You're talking about the girl that I took to my prom.
Yes, Kathy
named
Moffett.
Kathleen Moffett.
Kathleen Moffett.
That I sat in a car with overnight because we had no money to go any place. You're talking about Scotto, the guy who sang tenor in one of the doo-wop groups. I'm not, if there's a statute of limitation, then it will never be, you know, don't worry about
Truth or fiction, okay.
Hey,
Gotcha.
sue me.
Truth or fiction.
Sue me.
Okay.
But, yeah, it was like a college. You know, first of all, if you never expected to go from a grammar school to a high school, and you get to the high school and discover that, I don't want to exaggerate too much, I suspect they may have had junior college standards for the first 2 years for your freshman and sophomore years, because a lot of people come into DuSable had no English backgrounds at all. I mean, some people couldn't count.
Wow.
Some people could not count.
From the elementary school system.
Well, like myself, after having gone to so many grammar schools, I didn't know my ABCs. I mean, not correctly. I knew I could jumble them up. A, B, C, D, E, R, F, T, Z, O, R, T, Z.
Oh, the same. Okay, the
Yeah,
same.
you know,
right.
I knew they were there somewhere. Math didn't exist. Math was the last address you had. In addition to all the other things that you might have access to in a regular grammar school. I never had that. I never had so many things that DuSable introduced us to. I never had a regular school teacher.
Yeah.
I went to grammar school where if you went for more than a week, they may have 3 substitutes. And each one of them was teaching a different way, a different thing. You know, I do remember being in a classroom where there was a teacher who was very sincere and very dedicated, and she was replaced.
Wow.
Like 2 days later, somebody else was there. So what happened to Miss Stone? You know, Miss Stone is gone, now it's Miss Joe. So DuSable had a regular faculty, and I have to say this because it's the truth. The black faculty dominated the curriculum. I was coming out of a high school that had such a firm basis in African American history before it was called that. I mean, after all, down on the first floor hallway, you had Jean-Baptiste Point DuSable, the black man for whom the school was named, and everybody in the school had to know who that was. Coming out of that environment, I wound up talking to people who graduated from college, black people, African Americans, who didn't know who in the hell they were. They never had any. When they finally got up to having classes in Africana, they was becoming acquainted with shit we had in our freshman year coming from Dr. Margaret Burroughs. Certainly in your sophomore year. This is when I began to have my exchange with her. And I realized that, hey man, this woman is about something. The door closes, and for those who are really, really artistically inclined, fine, go draw. Meanwhile, over your head, like a voiceover, was somebody saying things like, you all are not Negroes. We don't come from any place called Negro land. We are the descendants of people who were enslaved by the Europeans and brought to the New World, which was not new because other people of color had discovered it before the Europeans came here. So, if you are coming from a place that is called Africa, what should you be called? African Americans. We were the first African Americans. It was almost like a little cult secret. The people came out of Dr. Margaret Burroughs' class, African American. You're African American. Years later, when African Americans became popular due to the propagandizing of Jesse Jackson, I think one of the first people who came. Martin Luther King didn't do it. He was still saying, Negroes have a dream, blah, 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 blah. Even Malcolm X, Negroes have a dream. It was Jesse Jackson. But she had put it in our minds early on, if Chinese come from China and they land here and they're called Chinese Americans, or Italians that come here from Italy and they are Italian Americans, how do we wind up being called just Negroes? That doesn't make any sense. So think about this, boys and girls. Somebody knocks on the door. It's the principal, right? Miss, whatever her name was. Good afternoon, Mrs. Burroughs. I thought I would just come in and sit down in class for a moment. Am I disturbing you? Not at all. Please sit down, Miss Northberg. Now, what we have to understand, if you mix brown and green, you'll wind up with yellow. But a kind of yellow like, well, let's take Picasso, for example. I mean, she could go anywhere. She was slick as she could be. And she was multiplied. Even the white teachers, and this is what I'm talking to, even the white teachers were tricky. They were trying to teach us black pride by saying, and I use I use Mrs. Gallagher as a wonderful role model over and over again, because she was the one who says, you've got to be better. Well, better than what? She says, you've got to be better. Better than what? And she never answers that. But we all knew what she was talking about. Hey, like you do with your Tai Chi class, I got to run out of here. I can't get up and run off to the side because I might slip down and hurt my leg.
Don't want to do that.
But I'm not going to do that. But we get back to this tomorrow evening because
I certainly appreciate it. I love
I'm
hearing
only
about
in my
the
sophomore year.
I hear you.
I'm only in my sophomore, and I'm really just getting started because remember,
Yes.
I was writing the love letters for people.
Yes.
I was working at the Carnegie drugstore every other day. I was going to football practice. I was running track somehow up and down. I was trying to be all the things that everybody wanted me to be, plus some stuff I was thinking of myself. I was having I start off this particular chapter with, I was having my head open.
Gotcha.
Why am I living like I'm living? And I go over to the north side. I live in a hotel, called the Alma Hotel, and I'm going over to the Carnegie Hotel. I'm sorry, to the Drake Hotel. I'm working in the Carnegie drugstore. Why is this so different? Why am I? Why is this so bad and that's so good?
Yeah.
Wow. So I'm questioning the social order pushed into place by Dr. Burroughs. I give her all credit. I know how people feel sometimes when they start talking about my mentor, Malcolm X, my mentor, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, or Hitler, or whoever was your mentor. Whoever was your mentor. I start thinking about sometimes people get led by the wrong mentors. I think, for example, right now, a lot of people who mean well and who are decent, honorable people are being misled by a man who is going to cause them to feel really sad and regretful years from now, if they live. If they pay attention to him and they pack the churches on Easter Sunday, they won't be alive the following month. Guarantee you that. And I'm not Governor Cuomo. Gotta go. Gotta go.
Thank you, Odie Hawkins. Website, www.odiehawkins.com. Your books, numerous books, radio plays, whatever. Your books can be purchased on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or your local bookstore. Just go in and say, I want a book by Odie, O-D-I-E, Hawkins, and they'll pull it up and you can purchase it. There are ebooks, and hopefully in the coming years we will have some video books.
You can count on it.
We have an agent.
Alfred, keep on getting well. We're waiting for you to return.
Right. We are working with an agent.
But you really are out at a good time.
Right.
Because there's no one there.
Yes, we are working with an agent, and you will learn about him in the coming years. All right. I think that's enough. And all right, Odie Hawkins, I'll see you
tomorrow
in our next video.
Okay.
Okay.
The next moment in time.
This moment.
The next moment in time.
The very next moment in time. Thank you, sir. He was looking at you, kid.
He was looking at you, kid.